and Ravens game. And going into this game, I'm like, kind of similar to the week before with Josh Allen. I'm like, Lamar Jackson, this is your chance to show the doubters wrong. Say, hey, this playoff record, it's FUBAR, doesn't matter. I am Lamar Jackson. I am a 2-time MVP after this year. And now I made a Super Bowl appearance. And then the game began. And we realized real quick, oh, man, that Chiefs team, pretty damn good. First drive, 9-minute drive, touchdown. Second drive, 9 minutes, field goal. Next thing you know, the Chiefs are up 10-0, and the Ravens are in shambles. Wasn't quite to the level that the Packers did to the Cowboys, but it felt as soon as the Chiefs went up 10-0 that the game was in trouble immediately.
Yeah, you felt that they're in trouble immediately, and it wasn't quite in the same style as it was with Green Bay versus Dallas. Because with Dallas, you shouldn't be afraid of Jordan Love. Dak Prescott is one of the finalists for MVP this year. You had a career year this season. That was more that team's emotional immaturity there, where when you're hosting a home playoff game, pretty much every single person picked the Baltimore Ravens, unless you're a diehard Chiefs fan. I ended up picking the Kansas City Chiefs in this game for the specific reason of everyone was comparing the Kansas City Chiefs this year to the 06 Patriots. And they're like, okay, they're vulnerable. There's a chance that this could be a year where when the Colts broke through and Peyton Manning finally got a Super Bowl, that was the prime opportunity. I was like, well, actually, the Chiefs have yet to do one thing, and that's win back-to-back Super Bowls. And the Patriots, when they got back there, ended up winning back-to-back Super Bowls. Now, Patrick Mahomes has made more Super Bowls than Tom Brady so far in his career, but he lost to Tom Brady in one of those Super Bowls in 2020. But with this, I was like, it's in Baltimore. Everyone's just writing off the Kansas City Chiefs. And one thing you don't want to do is take all of the pressure off Patrick Mahomes, and then he can go out there and just play freely. And then with the Baltimore Ravens, I'm like, I just don't know how their offense is going to be able to match up with their defense, because all Steve Spagnuolo did was he would rush an extra guy every single time, and they weren't spying Lamar Jackson, but what they were doing on their blitz was they were pretty much just doing a contained blitz where let's shuffle Lamar Jackson to one side of the field, make sure he can't break outside of the pocket, and then we'll be able to collapse on him and make a big play. And then Lamar just didn't know what to do. And then the criticism with him is he holds on to the ball for too long, and then he's a little bit too indecisive with his reads, where with Lamar Jackson, it's not, okay, 1-2, boom, where you see with Joe Burrow in that playoff run where he beat Tennessee, where he beat Kansas City, it was, okay, I need to get the ball out fast as fuck because my offensive line is terrible, and Joe Burrow made it a point to get the ball out of his hands quickly. With Lamar Jackson, he simply just holds the ball too long, and the Chiefs just blitzed him all game, and they're like, do something about it. And then every time Lamar Jackson had a chance to do something about it, overthrow Aguilar, overthrow OBJ, overthrow Mark Andrews, overthrow Isaiah Likely, throw into triple coverage, fumble the ball, and Amenahu ends up getting to him. I'm like, the difference will be is Patrick Mahomes isn't going to turn the ball over in this game. And then him and Travis Kelce, I know they can make enough plays because I've seen Tom Brady do it with just James White, Gronkowski, and Edelman, and like a Brandon Cooks type figure, which we have with Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice made the case. He's like, everyone's talking about Zay Flowers. Everyone's talking about Puka Nacua for being these electric, dynamic wide receivers this year. And while I think Puka Nacua is the best out of any of them, Rashee Rice is like, hey, I'm here too, and I'm also a lot more mature than Zay Flowers.
Yeah, exactly. I think Zay Flowers, he showed that he was talented in this game. He had over 100 receiving yards. He made some big plays for the Ravens. But at the same time, you mentioned Justin Tucker in pregame and what he did to piss off Mahomes and Patrick and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Well, on the other side of the ball, you have players like Nick Bolton and George Karlaftis and Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. And if you watch the top 5 worst performers in this game, you saw that we had Zay Flowers here. Because after this massive play, which was a very rare big play that the Ravens had all game, they didn't really do much on the ground in general. But to go up there and taunt L'Jarius Sneed, go over him, tower over him, and then the very next play, L'Jarius Sneed punches it out and it fumbles into the end zone, was just fitting. And that shows the difference between Zay Flowers and Rashee Rice, and really the difference between the Ravens and the Chiefs, where the Ravens had almost anointed themselves already a superior to the Chiefs when Lamar Jackson's 2-4 in the playoffs. He hasn't proven anything. This was his first AFC title game. Never mind just a big, massive game in general. compared to the Chiefs, where they've made 6 consecutive AFC title games. The only teams that can beat him that isn't Tom Brady is Joe Burrow, and everything that you've talked about. You look at the difference between the Ravens and even just the Bengals is maturity. Joe Burrow, stone cold, doesn't give them any ammo, unless if his name is Eli Apple or the mayor of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like, the maturity level between those two, and I think that's what kind of ultimately broke the game open, was all of these situations where the Ravens are poking at the Chiefs, trying to basically punch a hole in them. And that doesn't work for the Chiefs. This team is an armor. This is a dynasty. And you don't want to piss them off. You don't want to give them any more ammo.
Yeah, and I think I would blame a lot of this game on John Harbaugh, because the Baltimore Ravens, and they mentioned this talking about the game, was like, we want to make Patrick Mahomes feel hit. Like, okay, have fun getting flag, roughing the passer, flag here, flag there. It's like, it seemed like your mentality was to rough up Patrick Mahomes, but what you don't realize is you don't want to give the refs an excuse to throw a flag for Patrick Mahomes. And a lot of people were talking about how they felt like that game was rigged. Like, no, the Ravens earned every single penalty there. And while this may work when you have someone like Terrell Suggs and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed who know how to actually do it smartly and within the rules, it does not work when you kind of have players with inexperience in the playoffs, where the Ravens haven't made a deep run in a long time. And then you're coming out there with this mentality like, we want to rough up the Chiefs here, we want to taunt them. And then that bleeds over to a player like Zay Flowers, who is inexperienced, where John Harbaugh gives his team that mentality. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make our presence felt here, and then I'm just going to push down L'Jarius Sneed. And I'm like, bruh, you are down 10 points right now. You have no cause to celebrate right now. Your number one focus should be making your presence felt in the end zone. And there wasn't even a chance when he reached out to score. And then every single time, players will talk about this, is like, our coaches tell us, unless it's the game on the line, you do not reach for that goal line if there's seconds left, because you have Lamar Jackson. He's the best red zone threat in the NFL today, outside of Josh Allen and potentially Patrick Mahomes. So it's like, it's on the level of a Jalen Hurts and a tush push there. And then you have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in the end zone. So it's like, all you had to do was just go down and you guys probably get a touchdown, but you end up costing your team the game. So I do blame some of that mentality on John Harbaugh.